Melody and Nell stood shoulder to shoulder. At first, people thought maybe it was coincidence, maybe it was timing, maybe everybody was just speaking their truth at the same moment. But the more things unfolded, the clearer it became. This wasn't random at all. This was strategic. This was intentional. And honestly, it looked like Melody and Nell were done playing nice. All I want is everybody to talk about their own. Leave mine alone.
Well, yeah, and I agree.
So we gonna do that? No comment, so don't ask. That's right, tell them none. See, when betrayal sits too long without being addressed, it doesn't disappear. It grows, it hardens, and when it finally erupts, it does damage. What nobody expected was how calmly Melody moved. The thing with me and her is she get mad when I tell her how I feel. She really dismissed to me how I really feel about the girls' trip. She's Mel. She don't want to be nobody tell her how they feel. She don't want to be held accountable. Mel gonna tell Mel how she feel, and she's not used to that. She's used to, I don't know, do girls. I'm not. I've never been do girl. I'm a leader myself. Friends tell each other the truth. Friends should be able to tell the truth, whether you get along right then or not. Whether you don't talk to each other somewhere, you'll come back, right? That's what friends do. Exactly. Be like, well, hey, I'm good. I just didn't like this or I didn't like that. That's what real friends do. Shady-ass friends stick around you, hang out with you, and keep chopping up, laughing with you, and agreeing with you on everything. And I can't do that anymore. No yelling, no messy arguments, just quiet confidence. And Nell? She wasn't hiding anymore either, because once those two aligned, Destiny's world started shaking, and every move she made only made things worse. Now, let's rewind a bit, because this didn't happen overnight. Back in the early days, Melody and Ann weren't enemies at all. They were close. Not just coworkers, not just reality TV associates. They shared laughs, private talks, and moments that fans never even got to see. When Melody's marriage fell apart in front of the world, Ann was right there. Or at least, that's how it looked. What's sacred is this ceremony, which is why there are only a few people invited. What's sacred is me returning to where I'm supposed to represent and bring honor to my family bloodline. So I'm gonna need him to look up sacred first. And when Ann faced her own heartbreak later on, Melody tried to return that same support. On the surface, it looked like two women holding each other up during painful chapters, but behind closed doors, something wasn't sitting right. Melody started noticing distance. Conversations felt forced. Messages went unanswered. Important moments passed without acknowledgement. It wasn't loud at first, just small shifts that made Melody pause. And when you're emotionally drained already, those small things hit harder than people realize. Then came the moment that changed everything. Melody found out Ann had finalized major life decisions without ever saying a word to her. No heads up, no conversation, nothing. And that stung, not because Melody needed to know everything, but because it confirmed what she had been feeling all along. They weren't as close as Ann pretended they were. From there, tension crept in quietly, subtle comments, side-eye moments. Then eventually, the jabs started landing publicly. Ann began hinting that Melody wasn't genuine, that she wasn't supportive, that maybe she didn't want others to shine. And that's when people started choosing sides. But Melody didn't rush to respond. She never does. She listens, she watches, she lets people talk themselves into corners. And while Ann kept speaking, Melody stayed silent, which only made Ann louder. Then came Nell into the picture. For a long time, Nell was seen as neutral, someone who could move between both women, someone who didn't want drama. She appeared supportive of Melody publicly, celebrating her wins and standing by her during tough moments. At the same time, she kept lines open with Destiny too. At first, fans admired that balance. They called it maturity. But neutrality only works until secrets start leaking, because suddenly Ann began referencing details that didn't add up. She knew things she shouldn't have known, private conversations, internal issues, stuff that never hit the blogs, and people started asking the uncomfortable question, who's telling her this? All signs pointed back to Nell. That's when whispers turned into suspicion, and suspicion turned into full-blown conversation online. Fans noticed patterns, timing, reactions, who liked what, who stayed silent when things got ugly, and Melody noticed too. See, Melody doesn't confront chaos emotionally, she confronts it logically. When she realized information might be traveling through someone she trusted, she didn't argue, she didn't accuse, she simply pulled back. And when Melody pulls back, it's never temporary. Suddenly, Nell wasn't around as much. No public interactions, no friendly exchanges, no acknowledgement at all. That silence said everything. Meanwhile, Anne kept pushing. She continued throwing indirect shade, playing victim, and hinting at betrayal without ever taking responsibility for her own role in the fallout. But here's the twist nobody expected. Instead of denying the rumors, Nell started moving differently. Her energy shifted, her posts changed, her support became selective, and slowly people realized she wasn't trying to stay neutral anymore. She was trying to fix what she broke. That's when Melody and Nell quietly realigned. No big announcement, no dramatic reunion, just aligned energy. And once that happened, Anne felt the shift immediately because suddenly the narrative wasn't hers anymore. Old clips resurfaced, receipts reappeared, fans began revisiting moments Anne once explained away, and everything started connecting in ways it never had before. The more people looked back, the clearer it became. Anne had a pattern. Fall out with someone, claim betrayal, paint herself as the wounded one, then move on without accountability. But this time was different because Melody doesn't react emotionally. She responds strategically. And with Nell standing beside her, the message became impossible to ignore. They didn't have to scream. They didn't have to argue online. Their consistency spoke louder than Anne's words ever could. Anne tried damage control fast. She posted emotional messages about fake friends, about being misunderstood, about always being the one left behind. She went live, voice shaking, explaining her side yet again. But something was different this time. People weren't buying it. The comments weren't sympathetic anymore. Instead of stay strong, fans asked questions. Instead of support, they demanded accountability. And Anne wasn't prepared for that shift. Every explanation felt rehearsed, every tear felt delayed, and every story had holes. Meanwhile, Melody kept moving forward, business thriving, confidence unshaken, peace protected. And Nell, she stayed quiet, letting her actions speak instead of trying to rewrite history. That silence hit Anne harder than any argument ever could. Because when two people stop responding altogether, it forces the spotlight on the one still talking, and Anne talked herself into isolation. Emotionally, this took a toll. You could see it. The exhaustion, the frustration, the confusion of losing control over the story she once believed she owned. Watching former supporters question her intentions hurt deeply, especially knowing she helped create that doubt herself. Relationships shifted, trust faded, and suddenly Anne wasn't fighting Anne anymore. She was fighting public opinion, and that's the hardest battle of all. Melody, on the other hand, looked lighter, calmer, freer, like someone who finally released dead weight she'd been carrying for too long. There was no bitterness in her tone, no need to explain herself. She let truth stand on its own. And now, she learned the hard lesson many people do too late. Playing both sides eventually leaves you with none, but choosing accountability, even quietly, gave her a chance at redemption. Together, their alignment wasn't about revenge. It was about closure, about ending cycles, about no longer allowing confusion, manipulation, or half-truths to live rent-free in their lives. Anne may have thought she was being finished off, but in reality, she finished herself by refusing to grow when growth was required. And that's the real lesson in all of this. Because betrayal doesn't always come with evil intentions. Sometimes it comes through silence, through omission, through wanting attention more than peace. And while drama may bring momentary spotlight, truth always wins in the end. So now the question isn't who won, the question is who finally learned. Because Melody walked away stronger, Nell walked away wiser, and Anne, she walked away exposed. And sometimes the loudest ending isn't a fight at all. It's when everyone else moves forward and you're left standing still. If you've been watching this unfold, you already know this story isn't really about friendship. It's about loyalty. And once loyalty breaks, nothing ever feels the same again. Now, tell me, do you think Melody and Nell were justified, or did Anne get pushed out unfairly? Drop your thoughts